All right. Number one, find the range and interquartile range of each set of values. So all four of these are basically going to be the same thing. So we're just going to check our answers, make sure that we're good with this. I wrote down here in the TI-84, this is where you, well, the range and the interquartile, the range you can kind of figure out without using the calculator. You're just taking the highest and subtracting the lowest. But we're still going to go ahead and use the calculator anyway, all right? Because we're going to need the quartile range. And it's just so much better, especially when you have more pieces of data to use the calculator. So what you're going to want to do is pay attention to the buttons that I'm pushing here. So feel free to pause and go back and see which buttons I am pushing. I'm going to slow down a little bit in the first one, then I'm going to speed it up. So first of all, what you want to do is make sure that you hit the stat button. And the stat button here takes you to the editor. Now in the editor is where you're going to get all of your values here, okay? And so if you don't need all these, you can just do DEL. Make sure you do have L1 there. If you do not have L1 and you have something like this where your L1 was deleted for some reason, then what you want to do is you want to go to Stat and then go to Setup Editor. And what it does is it basically resets it up again. So Setup Editor, hit Enter. Then when you go back to Stat Edit, you'll see that L1 is back. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and just enter our data in here, and feel free to move this quickly. Okay, I think I want to double check that. I've got 9 pieces of data there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, now that's all I need to do. When I quit second mode, I can go back to the screen, the home screen, hit Stat, move over to Edit, and then for that one variable stat, that's what I'm going to hit. And when I hit Enter, it's going to give me a whole bunch of information. Okay. Now, in these first 4 problems, I'm going to need certain pieces of information, and then in this set, I will need another. So here, the range is just going to be the max minus the min. Okay, that is the range. So if you've got lots of data, this is actually kind of convenient for you to check out. But if you have small pieces of data, you can figure out the max and the min pretty quickly. And you can see the min is actually 4 right there. So your range is actually 5. You have a range. You can think of it just like any kind of function. Your range is the spread of your y values. Okay. All right. And then the interquartile range is the Q3 minus Q1. And I'm not going to repeat this for every one of these. I'm just going to execute the problem. So here we see Q3 is given to us as 8. Okay. And then Q1 is 5.5. So subtracting those two is 2.5. So our interquartile range, that is 50% of our data, Q1 to Q3, is actually going to be have a spread of 2.5. Okay. Now that's going to be important for us to calculate what are called outliers, but that's another story. Okay. So now that I know what those are, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and make sure that I've got that I'm accurate with this. Okay, so 42. And what I like about this is that I don't have to worry about the order in which these are put. The graphing calculator will kind of do it for me, and anybody else in the world is going to use software when they kind of pull this stuff together. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. All right, we've got our max is 120. And then our min is 18, so it looks like our range is 102. Okay. And then our interquartile range is 94 minus 33. So 94 minus 33 is just 61. Okay. All right. Now, we always label that as IQR. Okay. So range and interquartile range are just a little different. Range is from max to min. Interquartile is from Q3 to Q1 if we were looking at a box and whisker. Okay. All right, so just continue the process. We got more data, so just be careful here. 4132 kind of helps to say it out loud when you type it in. But of course, if you're on a test, you don't want to talk too loudly. But whenever I do things that require detail like this, I want to make sure that I say it out loud. Now, one of the things you can do is I'm on 13 here, so if I go to L1 12. That means I've got 12 pieces of data. Is that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, double that 12. So that means I more than likely have all 12 there. Okay. So again, all right, and so this gives me a range, and I can just call that the max is 58, and then the min is 29. Okay, and then the IQR is going to be 49 minus 35. Okay, we are not dealing with very sophisticated mathematics here. It's really just addition, subtract, just knowing what things mean, okay, knowing the definitions, okay. All right, the numbers are going to get bigger, and who cares, right? We're just going to go ahead. We're going to just go ahead and type in everything you want. I'll show you how to clear lists without having to hit DEL. It doesn't seem very professional to do that. So 194, 583, 436, 518, 237, 205, 541, 387. That is 11. Do I have 10 pieces of data? Yes. Okay, so stat variable 1. All right, the range is going to be 583 minus 194, and then my IQR is going to be 518 minus 237. 583 minus 194 is 389, so have a relatively large range. But of course, it depends on the context. We don't know exactly what this data is for. Okay, but there we go. That's all set. The next one, here we're going to do the same process, but now what we're looking for is the mean and the standard deviation. But the one variable stat is actually going to do this for us. Now, one of the things that we're going to have to kind of say here is that we're going to use this symbol for standard deviation, and we're going to use that symbol for mean. So this right here is sigma, but what that sigma means, though, is that we have all of the data of the entire population of a sample. So that means we got everybody. Normally, that doesn't happen. Normally, you don't get a whole population. Sometimes you just get a sample. When you guys did your surveys, you just did a sample, okay? So in this case, I'm really not going to spend too much time telling you how to do it, because this is in the one variable stats just like all the others, okay? Now, what I will do is show you how to clear a list, though. If you go to second memory, which is second plus, you can see here that you can go to number 4 there and hit enter again, and when you go back to stat editor, you'll find that all of your lists are clear. It's convenient, or if you just want to hit DEL, it doesn't matter. But we're going to go ahead and just use one variable stats. You can see here that we just use L1. We don't use L2 like we did for points. That would be 2 variable statistics. But we just use those for regression equations, so we didn't even use it statistically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we're good. Now when I go to, when I go to stat, push over here, I am looking for the mean. So the mean is going to be 226.6. We'll just go to the 10th place, but you see it's X bar. Taking your first statistics course in college, they just call it X bar rather than the mean. And then here we've got the standard deviation. These guys are all used, these two numbers are used to find the standard deviation, okay? And this right here is the standard deviation. Now notice, though, they did not give us the variance. Variance, it's not as useful as the standard deviation. And in some statistics courses, the variance is used for other things. But, you know, for us, we just really care about these two because we're just looking at normal distributions, nothing else. Okay? All right, so that's all that there is. And now I just want to find out the rest of the stuff. So that's a short list, so I'll just go ahead and enter new data there. 19, 25, 15, 13, 17, 10, and 12. Okay, that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, correct. Okay, we're going to go to calculate. And now we have a mean, or X bar, of 17.1, and the standard deviation of 5.5. Okay. All right, keeping with the process, let's clear all this. Stat edit. And now we got 157, 185, 236, 171, 234, 184, and 206. Stat calc. One variable stats. Now we have the mean at 196.6, and we have standard deviation at 28.4. Okay, so we're going to round up. Next one, last one. All right, let's do second mem, clear all lists, hit enter, go back to editor. Okay, now we got to be careful here. This is really about being careful. I don't really think it's too complicated. Okay, it looks like we got 8 pieces of data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I feel pretty confident with that. Going to go to calc. All right, and now we get a x bar equals 1.3, and then we get a standard deviation of 0.5. Okay. All right, so that is that for the first page.